What's going on YouTube? It's been a while since we've done a video, a little over 2 months now. And 2024 has been busy so far. And we've brought you guys a few podcast episodes, but no true YouTube content. So we are going to continue with our series on communications on setting up a basic form of TAC-Chat for the everyday citizen. But before we dive in, guys, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. All of those things you guys do definitely helps us out a ton, both in video production, content production, reviews. All of that helps us out a ton. And I appreciate all of the support and love for you guys. As of the time of this video, we're coming up on 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Bless all of you. So, what is TAC-Chat? And while there are some companies that label their actual product or software services as TAC-Chat, essentially TAC-Chat is just the implementation of data modes with radios in a tactical environment. For those of you watching that were some sort of communications MOS when you were in the military, like a radio operator, data, anything like that, if you ever worked in the TOC or in a COC, you probably saw over at the radio station that not only did we have voice communication set up, but we also had data communication set up, and not even necessarily ones that involve the internet. And while there are a ton of different programs that you can utilize using some sort of locally sourced or internet-based source communications, today we're going to go over the basics of just using the radios that you already have at your disposal for setting up some sort of simulated tactical communications chats. And all of this can be done with a lot of the equipment you probably already have, and is going to be extremely entry level, knowledge for everyone to utilize. That way, anybody can do this. Now, myself, I have, had to get a ton of help from a ton of different friends in this community as I've grown on my own communications knowledge, and I want to give back and share some of that with you guys. So, why is TAC-Chat useful to either the citizen prepper or the modern Minuteman, or what is even more commonly being referred to as the civilian defense force? While voice communications is very effective, data communications brings a different thing to bear when it comes to your communications plan. And a lot of this is already focused around HF radio, but today we're going to focus on how we can utilize this even in our line of sight communications, either VHF or UHF. Now, while you can pass reports and different types of information through voice communications, data brings something else to the table. You will not necessarily have to transmit as long. You're sending a lot more concise message. Messages can be saved a lot easier. And then, depending on the type of software that you're using, you can send files and pictures as well. So we're going to be kind of breaking this up into a couple different parts of this video. We're going to be doing kind of the introduction to TAC-Chat. We're going to talk about the equipment that you need. And then the last bit of this is going to be the actual demonstration of how to set this software up on your device and then tie it in with your actual radios. If you guys look down in the comment section, there is a list of the gear that I'm using today to show you this demonstration. There'll be a list of software or other types of programs that you're going to need to make this work, and then some other useful information. So, like I said before, you're going to need some equipment, but a lot of this you guys probably already have. The first thing being is that you're going to need an analog radio to make this work. Whether you were talking in terms of HF radio, VHF, UHF, it doesn't really matter. Most of these programs are utilized with analog communications. So if you're somebody that has a portable radio that's capable of DMR or P25, it's extremely beneficial that it's able to also operate on analog mode. That way you're expanding the capabilities of your communications equipment without having to actually pile up the amount of stuff that you had. For today, we're going to be utilizing the XTS 5000, which of course we sell on our website, but it's capable of both digital mode, being P25, as well as analog. You can also use your Baofeng that a lot of people have, whether it's their primary or it's some backups, whatever it might be. You can use your analogs for this as well. Though this is going over analog mode, it's going to transmit an actual data signal over, your actual radio itself, and it's going to be tied into a computer. All this will make a little bit more sense in a moment. But the first thing you're going to need is your radio. While the common person, all has, some form of portable radio, we also have mobile radios or base stations that can be utilized as well. My radio operators that are a little bit more on the ham side have a ton of experience with this kind of stuff, whether it's through HF or kind of the lower side of the VHF band. But you could also use man packs or amplifiers from the field perspective to help you push your communications even further. Obviously, your range is limited with a portable radio depending on your terrain, antenna type, so on and so forth. But, just for general sake, let's say you're limited to a couple miles with your portable radio. If you have some sort of amplifier running in your vehicle, or you have what you guys will hopefully see sometime over the next couple of weeks, is a man pack system, either based on an individual radio or an amplifier system itself that we have created, you're going to be able to extend the range of your communications even further, which can come into big play when we're talking about line of sight data modes. So you're going to need a radio. Next, which a lot of people might already have if you're into HF radio, is a Digirig. Now, as a disclaimer, guys, all of the equipment that is from other companies you see in this video, it was not provided to us. These are my personal items that I purchased on my own dime. I'm not incentivized to show you guys any of this stuff. It's just what I use and what I have for examples for you guys. So, Digirig. You're going to need a Digirig. And essentially, in the lamest terms put, this is the middleman between the data software that is on your device, whether that be a laptop, a Toughbook, a Tough tablet, whatever it might be, and your radio itself. Essentially, it is creating, that portal for your radio transmissions to transmit and receive what is on the laptop. So you're going to need a Digirig. In addition, you're going to need the correct USB cable that ties your device into your Digirig device. And then you're going to need the appropriate cabling that ties your radio of choice into your Digirig. Now, what I'm using here today comes from One Tone Systems, who makes these types of data cables for the XTS 5000 radio. But there are other companies and websites as well that do that kind of stuff. So for our XTS 5000 radio, all we need is a push-to-talk adapter with a high-rose quick disconnect on the top. And then we need a cable capable of utilizing data modes. We'll plug that into the top. Find where these high-rose connect. And then all we have to do is plug the opposite end into our Digirig. The last thing we're going to need, like I said before, is some sort of device. As a primary pick for myself when it comes to field deployment and keeping size and weight in mind for like the backpack or the field and whatnot, I have this FZG1 Tough tablet. You could use the CF19 Toughbook, which there's a plentiful amount of on eBay, but they're a little thicker, they're a little heavier. If you have the extra money, I would suggest you go with the CF20. Regardless, whatever you have, will work just fine. If we're talking from a more stationary perspective, where you're setting up like a home system, using an old laptop will work just as fine. You don't need a Toughbook or ToughPad. So all we would do from here is plug our USB into our device, and we are ready to start operating the software. So guys, let's transfer over to the actual guide on how to set all of this up. Now, for those that don't know any better, the cheesy intro video that we showed before, it's not necessarily as easy as that made it seem, but it is extremely simple to operate these systems and these software programs that really anybody can do it. There will be a kind of guide list, a step-by-step guide after we cut to the actual demo video. Make sure you screenshot that so you can reference that, but then we'll also have a little walkthrough tutorial. And like I said, the other type of information, programs you need, all that kind of stuff will be down in the comments below. So let's transfer over to the tutorial and show you how to actually set up this software on your devices. All right, guys, let's dive into the actual tutorial portion of the video. So whether you're using an old tablet, a Toughbook, or an old laptop, whatever it might be, I've noticed that whenever dealing with this type of software and other similar files, this normally goes the smoothest with Windows 10. So it would probably be best if that is your operating software. So one of the first things that we're going to have to do is make sure that we have FLDigi and FLMsg downloaded to our device of choice, as well as the Paranoia Text Encryptor software, but we'll install that a little bit later. So the first thing we're going to have to do is download both FLDigi and FLMsg. I already have this downloaded, so I'm going to skip this portion of the video, but it installs just like, any other type of software. So before we actually start messing around with the software, we're going to need to check to see what port our Digirig is currently using. If you've never used the Digirig with any of your devices, you're going to have to install the appropriate driver. So we go to our port section under the device manager, and we can see that we are using COM port 3. So once we've verified which port we're actually using, we're going to need to go into our sound settings and then our sound control panel. And whenever we're using anything with the Digirig and our radios, a lot of these require some pretty specific settings. So we're going to want to make sure that our Digirig is selected, and we're going to go down to our sound control panel, and we're going to start with playback first, and we're going to select our Digirig and go into the advanced settings. Now you have the option to here, you don't have to, but I go ahead and rename everything to Digirig. It just makes it easier whenever I'm selecting from different menu options in the future. We're going to go to levels, and I like to keep my levels here down around 5. However, I've had success anywhere between 5 to 10, and like I said before, whenever we're using this type of software, you're going to have something specific for what you're trying to do. Next, we're going to go over to recording and select the same device, and we're going to go back into our levels. And once again, we're going to make sure that our microphone is set somewhere between 5 to 10. Once all this is done, we'll hit OK, make sure everything is saved. Mine's already set this way. And now we're going to want to go ahead and open up FLDigi. The first time we open FLDigi, we're going to have to change quite a few settings, but hopefully they save moving forward. If they don't, kind of remember some of your bigger settings, you can easily go back and reference them. Here in the top right corner, we're going to make sure that RX and TX is both lit up as green. And then down in the bottom right corner, we're going to want to ensure that the transmit level attenuator is set to -3. In addition, that little button on the side that says AFC, we're going to want to make sure that that is not selected. Once we're done with that, we're going to move over to the bottom left-hand corner, and we're going to select our operation mode. The one I have, found to work the easiest for everything that I'm trying to do on the most simple basis is selecting operation mode MFSK128. Honestly, for the average user, that's not going to make a huge difference. Next, we're going to open up our configuration menu, and I forgot to put it on this demo, but you'll see it on the screenshot of instructions at the beginning of the video. You need to go to IDs, RSIDs, and change the pre-signal tone to 2 seconds and hit save. Next, you want to go to sound card, devices, and then make sure that your audio ports up here are selected to the Digirig that we messed with earlier. And then after everything we get done doing, we're going to make sure that we hit save. Next, we're going to go over to rig control, our hardware push to talk, and we're going to want to make sure that this box is checked, and then under devices, we selected the correct COM port that our Digirig was associated to. And then we're going to check mark here, initialize, that kind of, enacts what we just changed. And then we are going to hit save. Now, one more neat feature about this program is that we can auto start FLMsg with our Digirig software. So we're going to go to miscellaneous and then auto start, and we're going to find one of these empty program boxes here. All we're going to do is go over to locate, and we're going to select our downloaded FLMsg file. You'll enable this, and then you'll hit save. And then that way, every time you open Digirig in the future, it will also automatically open FLMsg. I've already got mine selected here, so we're not going to walk through that process. Just select the downloaded file. That is everything we need to do to mess up with FLDigi from the most basic stance. Like I said, every once in a while, you're going to open this back up, and you may have to change a setting or two. Sometimes this software can be kind of finicky. So make sure you have a good understanding of your equipment and how everything is supposed to work. Next, we're going to open FLMsg, and the first time we ever open it up, it's going to ask what kind of settings we want to have. Select expert, and then this is what you'll see. Over here on the left, this is kind of your information box and settings. All of this kind of stuff you can ignore. It's for different types of messaging platforms. Next, we're going to go over to our date and time, and we can select what we want to utilize. We don't really have a lot to mess with here. Again, this is for some more advanced capabilities of the software. Nothing really to mess with here. Under ARQ, if you want to, you can select open browser. Essentially what that means is whenever people send you a message, it'll automatically open it up in like a text file or a PDF, regardless if you're using internet or not. And it can be kind of nice to save messages. And then there's nothing we really need to mess with here. So when we head back over to the main body for FLMsg, we want to make sure that we're in the correct operating mode that we selected in FLDigi. This can be a common place where mistakes may happen and you're wondering, why isn't my message sending or why aren't the programs talking? This could be a, big place where that might happen. Next, we can come up to the top and we have a bunch of different menu options. If we go to utilities, we can see all of the messages that we've received through this program. They'll all stay saved right there until you clear them individually or you clear them all at once. Now, let's go ahead and open up FLDigi. And when we do this, FLMsg should open up together with it. There's FLDigi. And then FLMsg is right behind it. So we can go ahead and close out of that settings box. And whenever I am operating the software, I like to kind of put them side by side so I can see what all is going on. And then I'll put my receive text box, somewhere up to the side. So let's go ahead and do a demonstration of us receiving a message from another radio that's set up. Here on the bottom side of FLDigi, this is our waterfall. Whenever we receive traffic or send traffic, you will see a bunch of colorful bars light up on that, and that is a good sign. Now, once we start to actually receive traffic, and that message will eventually populate over into FLMsg, we're going to see the message first appear in the yellow top box. You'll see a little bit of miscellaneous numbers and words kind of pop up here and there, and that is essentially because we're just picking up some interference. But once we start to pick up on our waterfall and the message starts coming in, you'll see it in its raw form coming across FLDigi. But as soon as we have received the full message, you'll see that green box at the bottom, essentially meaning that the message has ended. And we will see a message pop up over in our received message box. Since we selected this setting before, like I said, it automatically opened this general text file. You can save this or print this. From the tactical perspective. This can be kind of nice from a talk or a command and control element. You can save really important messages into some sort of secure file network, or you can just delete them once you receive them. But if we want to reply, all we have to do is change the to and from address and then type our reply message. So here I just type reply. And then for whatever reason, when we want to send this, we have to save the file first. So I normally just create a default file that this saves to. And we're not able to use send. I think there's a bit of a glitch in the software, or it might be the way that we're using this. We have to hit auto send, and everything is automatically being saved to that file message. So when we go back over here to FLDigi, we'll see we have traffic on the waterfall. We'll see that our timeout tab there in the top is lit up red. And now we see that we are actively transmitting the message from our radio that our tablet or laptop is hooked up to the other end user. And once it's finished, our waterfall will clear out. Now, like we talked about earlier in the video, we are sending all of this traffic over analog. So in theory, anybody with the identical setup that is receiving traffic on the same frequency as us will be able to openly read our, messages. So we're going to use a program called Paranoia Text Encryptor. We're going to go ahead and download this just like any other, piece of software that you would. And from here, essentially, this gives us the ability to encrypt our message within the text itself, not the overall transmission. You are still going to be transmitting analog, not encryption on like a digital mode. Now, even though this software is extremely basic, it is extremely powerful in the same sense when it comes to encrypting basic text. It also has the ability to encrypt certain files, but for the simplicity's sake of this demonstration, once we open this, we're just going to select the Paranoia Text Encryptor, but just know that you can do files as well. So the way that this works is that I have the ability to select the type of encryption that I want to encrypt my message in. As a default, I would suggest you use AES-256, and then all you have to do is type in a password
and you're going to have to double confirm it. For example's sake here, I'm going to go ahead and just show the password since this is all dummy proof. But if you have the password and then the other person on the other side that you're sending messages to also has the password, all you'd have to do is type your message into this box. You'll hit encrypt, and now your message has kind of been essentially scrambled into this jumbled mess of nonsense that really doesn't make sense to anybody. However, you would copy that, you would post it in your message box in FLMsg, and then you would send it to the other person on the other side of your line. Now, if I was the person receiving this, I would put this in the bottom box, I would hit decrypt with the password in, and then I get that same exact message back out. And now I can just back and forth, send encrypted, text over data modes. And this can go on and on and on. And then just like anything else, you should continue to rotate your encryption password whenever needed. And you'll see here that I'm kind of creating an even longer message in comparison to what we had there in the beginning. And it goes to show you that whenever I encrypt this, it's not that my file is necessarily getting much bigger. Now, if you're sending paragraphs and paragraphs, obviously the entire box is going to be extremely long. But when it comes to actually sending things in FLMsg, the size of your file or the data that you're trying to send determines the transmit time. So we need to go ahead and consider that. Although we're able to pass, clear and concise communications through text, and you're not losing anything because you didn't hear somebody say something. If you send really, really long messages, you're going to increase the likelihood that somebody is picking up on what frequencies you're utilizing, direction finding, whatever that might be, that everybody else has.
So now that we know how to set up this TAC-Chat or these data modes, when is this even applicable to any of us? Well, say for example, you are a local preparedness group, a mutual assistance group, whatever it might be, and you're trying to set up some form of regular communications for your group of people. Say you're somewhat close to each other, regardless if you're using HF or line of sight radios, and you want to be able to pass chat to each other regularly. Setting up some form of TAC-Chat that can be monitored on a regular basis can be extremely beneficial, whether you're within the same neighborhood or maybe you're a cluster of farms that live somewhat close together. From the Civilian Defense Force or the Minuteman side of this, perhaps you are an LPOP watching a road, watching a valley, whatever it might be, and you're passing information from the LPOP back to some sort of command and control element, a retrans site, whatever it might be, and you're trying to essentially limit your communications presence either through the amount that you're transmitting or how long you're transmitting. Sending everything you need to say in one simple small report can help reduce your presence. Perhaps you are monitoring some sort of protests in your area, and a group of you are moving in mobile vehicles, and once again you're trying to stay off the air, and you're trying to increase your comms capabilities to begin with. You can set these TAC-Chats type servers up inside of your vehicles and can talk from vehicle to vehicle from other different sides of the city. You can pair this kind of stuff with either homemade repeaters, local repeaters that may be already available, and a ton of other different things, guys. Regardless, is the only thing that limits you is your imagination. Anything can be done if you get creative enough. Unfortunately, the communications market is not necessarily set up for the tactical civilian, and the few resources that really are out there that are made to be implemented the way they were created can get really expensive. So just like the whole man pack problem with us here in house and creating the products that we're trying to solve issues in the market with the resources we have available. Same thing goes with this very base layer of data communication, so on and so forth, guys. But that's all I have for this video, guys. Like I said, please support us however you can. It helps us out a ton, helps us bring you more content, and I promise to do my damnedest to get you guys more content regardless of how busy I am. I just got to make it till summer, guys. Just got to make it till July, and my availability will open up just a little bit more to make more videos. But until then, I'm still going to try to get out a podcast a month as well as a video or two per month. As always, guys, train hard, train often.